David.
Good evening. This is These Old Farts. Um, I've been pressed into duty to be a moderator. Bob is, I don't know, he's not available. Maybe he's visiting, who knows? Maybe he's on vacation. He didn't tell me, he just asked me to do it. So I'm here with Chuck and Omanand, and we're going to try to see if we can make this hour interesting. It usually is interesting, if not too combative. Excuse me. It's always competitive. I've made a list of a couple of things we should be talking about, and maybe the first one is the last one I have on my list, and that's ICE and National Guard are in Washington, D.C., and essentially they claim the city belongs to the federal government, not the residents. And the Congress has the right and power to assign money for police officers, and when Trump says there's not enough police officers, he should talk to Congress. What he's done is send in the National Guard and these masked people from ICE. And I really have a bad feeling about masked people. And you can't take a picture of them, and that's for their own protection. But we ought to know who's doing what. If we're supposed to be a free country, and it sounds like Mein Kampf to me. Secret Service. ICE is his secret service. At least that's my opinion. At any rate, they are doing a lot of work in cleaning up, cleaning up the problems in the city, and that's a good thing. They're not doing it with arrest warrants. They're just walking by and picking up people. So that's not the way that police officers are supposed to work. They're not police officers, but that's not the way it's supposed to work. So, if somebody doesn't look right, they just arrest them. That doesn't sound right to me. Doesn't sound like a free country. Sounds like, I don't know, maybe back in the 30s in Europe.
I'm not so sure they're just walking around picking up people, Paul.
They
I
are.
think I think they have a lead on who they're looking for. They have an idea. I don't know.
They are walking around, and maybe they're looking for people in certain areas, and they find them. They've confiscated a significant number of guns, which is a good thing. But I don't know. It just seems wrong to have masked people going around picking up people.
Well, my take on the thing is that National Guard is not masked, and that's what I was pointing out is that if the National Guard has been sent in to enforce the rules to clean up the city, how come the actual police force, which is actually regulated through federal government, could not do the same thing? And that's what we were discussing earlier before we got on the air, that it boils down to what Chuck pointed out earlier, that it boils down to having enough manpower, enough firepower, and a better way to enforce the rules so that crime is curtailed, so that the citizenry is safe. And I would advocate that something needs to be done, but unfortunately, the having National Guard around is a short-term solution to curb the crime. But long-term, some better solution has to be in place, and better accountability has to be in place so that the crime and crime meets punishment and crime waves, as they point out, decline, so that the city comes out to be safe. And that's what my take is on the National Guard. And I would also agree with Chuck that the people who are being arrested, and obviously a lot of guns have been taken away, and they probably do have leads. Otherwise, they would not go and pick up anybody. That's what my thinking. I don't know the real story though.
You know, a certain large, I'm not sure how large their percentage is, but a certain percentage of these being arrested are illegal immigrants that came into this country, and they're the ones that many of them are ones that are causing a lot of havoc.
Well, I agree. Many of them are causing havoc, but people who have been here for 1 and 2 generations are also causing a lot of havoc.
Whichever way you want to say it, if they're being a lot of havoc's being created by people that have been here a long time, as well as the newer people, then that's all the more reason you need reinforcements.
Yeah.
To help the police department.
The police, in order to pick somebody up, they really need a warrant for an arrest. They have to know who they're looking for. They can't just go down the street and grab somebody.
Well, do they need a warrant if somebody's breaking into a car? They don't need a warrant to arrest that person for that?
No, they can witness a crime. I'm talking about people just going down and grabbing people and bringing them in because of the color of their skin or whatever.
But we do not have data about that. Do we have data that that's what is actually being done? I don't know. And in fact, I have not followed it.
Yeah, you're right. We don't have data on what is being done. We just have numbers.
I would like to think that there is data out there. We may not have it ourselves right now, but I bet you there's data that they have accumulating.
Are they accumulating the data before they pick somebody up, or are they picking them up and then making data, making up the data? The police department usually has to have a warrant. They have to go and unless they see something that's happening. They can't just go up and frisk a person and notice that they happen to have a gun. That's illegal search and seizure. Whereas the people sent in can do that, can do illegal search and seizure.
My understanding is that there was a lot of cars being broken into and stolen in Washington, D.C., and many of them being stolen by kids that are young as 14 or 15 that are stealing these cars. And many of them being directed by older people because they are not prosecuted the same way or charged the same way as an older person would be.
Did they then catch the older people or no?
What's that again?
Did they catch the older people as well or not?
I suspect at some point they probably do, but I don't know for sure.
Because if the kid stole, kid has to talk to point to the master.
Well, they might turn the older ones in, but at the same time, they might be afraid to do that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I haven't heard that much in reference to that part of it, but they figure that a number of people, older people, are using these younger people to commit some of these crimes.
So they have a strategy to do
Oh,
all
yeah.
this mayhem.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's, if you watch many TV shows, that's a current theme. You know,
Oh, I see.
get an underling to do the crime, and you get the money or the goods or whatever. I think we've beaten that one to death. On a lighter note, the Jeffrey Epstein, he was on a suicide watch. And how does a person on a suicide watch hang himself? I mean, nobody's watching if he's on a suicide watch. It's hard to believe that a man on a suicide watch could hang himself. But
My understanding is that the people who are supposed to be guiding him left the scene for a while for some reason, and I can't remember what that reason was. So he was left alone, supposedly.
Yeah, either they were told to walk away, or they just simply did walk away and left him a rope or something.
That doesn't seem to be much of a story right now. I don't see that being much talked about in the news recently.
No, it's just it's his madam that's being talked about. The prostitute.
But that's how conspiracy theories originate. That you have a little break somewhere, and then you can create a story around it. But whether it is true or not, we have no way of knowing. But I mean, just like you provided a couple of these scenarios, so there's no way to decide which one is correct.
Right.
Somebody else may have some other more salacious scenario around it too. We don't know.
Well, hopefully we'll find out something more in the very near future.
Speaking of hopefully finding out things in the near future, the Jerry Epstein's prostitution ring, the info is on Pam Bondi on her desk. She's the Attorney General, I guess.
She said something about that a couple weeks ago, Paul, I think.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, she said that it was on her desk. Then something else happened, and it was not.
And then she said that's actually it was misunderstood.
Yeah.
What people understood she was trying to say. I don't know. My impression was she was trying to back away from having said that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's confusing about on my desk and it's not there anymore? It's.
I don't know. You'd have to ask her, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how politics works, actually. And you can't argue with that, though, unless we have some better data set to prove or disprove it.
Well, if you can't believe what the Attorney General is telling you, then we're in trouble. I was just noticing, my next thing was I was thinking about the hurricane off the East Coast. Huge cuts in the FEMA, Federal Management, I don't know what it stands for.
Emergency Management Administration.
Yeah. Well, it just seems like the wrong time to be having cuts in FEMA when there's a hurricane offshore. You know, we're in hurricane season right now for the next month or so. And, you know, last year we saw some pretty bad hurricanes and storms coming up the East Coast and even inland. It did a lot of damage. And
But
these are the
have they
people.
decided that there are adequate resources already available and in place? That's why you are thinking that's why maybe they're cutting some extra funds.
That they're cutting the people that work there, the
I
people that
must have missed
know
that.
about weather and what can happen, and if they see something, 500 miles away, um, they can say it's coming to a certain, in a certain way, and people in these states are affected, and these other states are not affected. And
Now, is this something you read about today, Paul, or
what,
is it
the
about
FEMA cuts?
FEMA?
FEMA cuts?
Yeah, is that something you read about real recently?
No, I've heard on the news. FEMA cuts have been on the news. As a matter of fact, it was on the news and a couple of weeks ago.
I know some time ago, weeks ago, I heard Trump saying that he was going to cut back on FEMA and rely upon the states to be able to handle the bulk of the issues, that they're better equipped to do it.
No,
And
they're
FEMA
not. No, that's absurd. FEMA has got. They have the big picture, and they
FEMA
have the
did
equipment.
a very poor job in North Carolina when
And
they
Texas
came back a few months ago.
and also Texas didn't work well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, Texas. Some of the people in Texas knew it was coming, but they didn't buy warning equipment. So that was a local decision.
So if you leave it to the states, that's what's going to happen then.
Yeah. Well, when states don't have money to invest in these things, they can either raise taxes, which people don't like, or not buy the equipment.
Well, instead of FEMA getting the money, then the money goes directly to the states. So it doesn't necessarily require more money.
The money doesn't go to the states. The money was cut.
If the federal government was to do away with FEMA, then that money that FEMA would get possibly would be going to the states.
No, it was a budget cut.
Well, you can say that. You may be right. I don't know for sure.
So you are saying it was the budget cut in the big bill?
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but that you might be right. So if that is the case, then that is the end of that part.
Yeah. So we're just going to have to live with it. There was a big meeting with Putin and Trump, and then all the European leaders and Trump. Russia's point of view is, give us the land we want, and we'll go away for a while. And Ukraine was, I'm sure they're not going to stand for that.
And I don't think Europe's going to stand for that either.
No.
But one thing I was wondering, they must have, Putin and Trump must have discussed details, and both of them are tight-lipped essentially, and they're not saying much of details what they actually discussed. And so was that all that land swap actually discussed, or is it just they are trying to work out some details before they tell anybody else?
I think Putin just likes to say what he wants. He thinks the other person wants to hear, and then does his own thing afterwards. I'm not sure we can trust whatever Putin says. You got to see what he actually does before we make a judgment on his character.
We do know what he's doing. He is while he was in meeting at White House in Alaska, they were bombarding Ukraine, and continue to do so. That tells you what he thinks.
You're right.
And unfortunately, how can you really take Putin and make him do things which he is not listening to?
Yeah.
Wow.
The other thing is that what he wants for land, he hasn't conquered yet. He's conquered other places that he's not willing to quote give back, but he wants this section of Ukraine that borders Russia. That
Yeah, I guess it's very valuable land as far as
Yeah.
minerals.
yeah.
A part of the eastern Ukraine he has taken over, actually. Not all, but part of it is under their control, I thought.
But this one portion I think Paul is talking about is a portion he really, really wants. And it's almost like a deal breaker that if I don't get that area, that I'm not changing.
The Donbass region, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what is interesting about Ukraine is they have they have minerals, and also that's a bread basket for a lot of people. So maybe he wants land for that as well.
No, I haven't actually. That's always historically, I think, been very true.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard him say anything about that type of area concerning about food or not.
But his claim mostly is it belongs to Russia because it is Russian and all that, and Russian folks live there, or Russian sympathizers live there, and so that's why it is mine.
Yeah.
I mean, you can argue historically that way and say, well, that's why he wants it, but international relations should not be governed by I take what I want. But unfortunately, because he has the firepower, going back to the firepower issue, he has the firepower, he has the resilience, he can continue fighting.
Under whose administration, under whose presidential administration did Ukraine agree to take down all their nuclear weapons?
I don't know.
I want to say I think it's Clinton, but I'm not sure.
I don't know, but that was a larger picture about when the Soviet Union dissolved, and at that time there was this swap of the nuclear arms and all that, because a lot of things were happening at that time, and I don't know who was the president at that time here, but there was a lot of stuff going on between the countries at that time who were formerly in the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
Well, if we were part of a group of countries, probably European countries, that got Ukraine to give up on their their nuclear weapons, then in some ways aren't we somewhat responsible for their present situation?
I mean, that is the case if we were, but at the same time, Ukraine was looking towards NATO to be part of NATO, and Western nations actually were pushing that Ukraine be part of NATO, so that will be our border with Russia, and Russia doesn't like that.
Now, Russia says no deal like that can happen.
I mean, I would think that's one of the things that Putin doesn't like. That means he probably worries that United States is next door. That's probably what he's thinking.
Yeah. I think part of the deal was they would give up the nuclear weapons, and Europe would be help be sort of responsible for their security. That was the deal.
But
if that was the case, they're not doing a very good job about it.
Yeah, well, Europe and the United States. And
the unfortunate thing is Europe is lot dependent on Russian energy source, and so that's a catch-22. I don't know how they can solve that part.
Well, they can rely upon getting more energy from us.
Yes,
That
but
would help.
they have a pipeline. I mean, it's kind of strange, but that's the reality.
A lot of European countries have, some European countries have
Yes.
pipelines, and some Asian countries have pipelines. I think India has. I'm not
No,
sure, but
I mean, direct pipeline. I mean, a real gas pipeline coming from Russia. So that's a
I meant all these countries get it from Russia.
so those are. I don't know how international community can solve that without without compromising the Ukrainian security. I don't know if there is a solution. I don't know.
I agree with you. I don't think there's a solution.
But at the same time, if you look at the international laws, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, I don't know, but as a common sense issue, you cannot, at least I would think, you should not be allowed to walk in and say, this is mine now, and that's the end of that.
Yep, I agree.
No matter who the president is.
They started a fight. You know, they started this when Obama was still president. They keep saying that it started under Biden. No, it started under Obama. 2 years of Obama, and then it continued under Trump, and then it continued under Biden, and it got more severe under Biden, and now it's still more severe under Trump. So, you know, you can't just say, oh, it's Biden's war. You know, it's been going on for a long, long time.
But I'm not sure, I'm not clear about that. When was whole Crimea taken over? But I don't remember which administration was here at that time. Was it Obama or was it Trump?
I remember the legislature approved defensive weapons for the people in Crimea, and Trump didn't want to sign it. That was when he first came in. They'd already approved it, and he didn't want to send them.
So were arms sent to Crimea? That fizzled out.
No, they were eventually sent.
But it essentially that didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
Korea is controlled by Russia. I'm confused.
Crimea.
Crimea is controlled by Russia.
Yes, but it
has been for a number of years.
Yes, they first started under Obama, and then Trump didn't want to send the weapons as soon as he got in, and the legislature convinced him to do it. That's how they were able to sort of fight back. But it's been going on since before Trump was elected the first time.
Obviously, they didn't fight back too well because.
Well, it was very small numbers of skirmishes, and it didn't really intensify until much later.
But right now, Russia controls Crimea completely, right? Yeah, that's so that they have access to the sea.
That's correct. I believe.
Yeah, and they're also preventing the food ships from going out, which is, one of the things that they do. Ukraine does is supposedly the breadbasket of the world. I learned that when I was in grade school, which was more than 15 years ago.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the big things about Ukraine.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
how many Democrats do you think are going to be prosecuted or charged when this whole more things develop as far as this Russia gate involving Trump many years ago?
there's no idea how many will be charged.
There's a numbers of different names have been thrown out there that probably facing charges and prosecution.
Well, one of the first things that they have to prove to the satisfaction of the population is that Russia did not do what they said they did. There's a significantly large portion of the population that absolutely believes that Russia helped Trump in his administration.
I'm not sure I'd agree, Paul, that it's a significant part of the population.
Well,
But,
anyone with a D after their, says Russia helped them. And, there's a lot of people that are individuals that are named that did help. There's also, people have been prosecuted. The Russian people have been prosecuted.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about. People as that are part of the administration of particularly Obama, as well as Biden, that probably will be charged. So we shall see.
Yep.
Takes time.
Yeah. Personally, I don't believe one thing that Trump says. Not one thing. I do believe if he says he's alive, that he is alive. Other than
that's big. That's big of you.
Other than that, I don't believe anything he says, because he can't remember what he says from day to day.
I don't believe that's true.
Lots of times he says things that completely contradict. I can't enumerate because there's so many I don't even try to remember. But
well, maybe that's part of his strategy. Have you thought of that? Because politicians use different kinds of different strategies to keep themselves abreast and keep the opponents on their toes. So you never know.
Right, you never know. But he doesn't remember what he says from day to day, lots of times.
I think you're mixing him up with Biden.
What?
I think you were mixing him up with Biden.
No. No.
Talk about somebody who doesn't remember things.
He was ill at that time. He was ill. He was recovering. And
he's recovering, you say?
He was in the process of trying to recover from a significant cold when he was on TV with Trump. And
I haven't heard that part of the story. I know there was some claim by his son that they gave him some type of medication or something, and that was part of the excuse that he was delirious.
Yeah.
I also heard that he had a cold or a flu or something. That's what I also heard. But
that's very possible.
That's history now.
Yeah.
History comes back sometimes.
Yeah.
Well,
Anybody got an idea of what time it is? How much time we have?
8:34.
Oh God. I've gone through my list of things.
No, but
Anybody
you have
else?
you have gerrymandering. We didn't talk about that yet.
Oh,
On what?
I think we did. But
Gerrymandering, congressional districting,
Gerrymandering. Okay.
gerrymandering.
yeah,
That's been
Massachusetts.
going, that's been going on for a long, long time.
Yeah, Massachusetts went to the U.S. Supreme Court over gerrymandering, and they lost. They had to go back to where it was before. And this was, I don't know, maybe the 70s or 80s. I can't quite remember. I was alive at the time, but I can't remember. But
Is that why Massachusetts has no congressman because of that portion of gerrymandering?
I think they brought it down to one, and
There's none. There's not a single congressman from Massachusetts. That's a Democrat.
yeah, there's a Republican.
Huh? There's no Republicans.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I wasn't aware it was zero, but
It is zero. And there are a couple of other states, I think maybe zero also.
I mean, for gerrymandering, I think Massachusetts probably did it long time ago and then stayed with it.
It's named after the congressman from
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That probably they did it a long time ago before anybody else could do it. That's why I was giving the example of Barney Frank. His district was, I don't know if it probably is still the same. It was a strip all over the place, and it was very difficult to understand why all these different areas were together. But I mean, there is the prerogative of the parties in power to redistrict. So I don't see any major problem unless we disagree. But that's what happens. That's called politics, I think.
the redistricting is supposed to happen the year following the census.
Yes, I understand
That's
that part.
right. And it's not supposed to change until the next census, which is 10 years away. Now, for some reason, states have been allowed to redistrict in the off years, because it was redistrict wherever 10 years was, like 1920 or something. Who knows? 2020 or something like that. But now they want to redistrict in an off year.
But doesn't it become law as long as the legislature agrees with the recommendations and passes it in both
Yes,
houses?
every 10 years. It only is up for voting once every 10 years.
Now, I'm saying that other than 10 years, as
No.
long as no.
No.
Once it passes, doesn't it still become law?
No, because it's illegal to do it.
Well, again, obviously
But
it's not
now-
illegal.
Now somehow that law has been changed. Now
That's what
I
I was gonna say,
agree. I agree that states can do it now because Texas is trying to do it, and
No, not
apparently
trying.
they
have
just
done
did.
it. Texas has done it.
And so,
So
did
has California.
So did California, and there's a number of other states. A lot of the states that the Republicans have a huge majority, they can't get any extra ones because they're already everyone is a Republican. But in some of the states where there is a 60-40 population type of thing instead of a 95-5. Like for instance, Montana only has one representative. Two senators,
there's-
but one representative. You're not supposed to do it in an off year. I don't know if Congress did pass a law to supersede that, but it's supposed to be after the census, which happens every 10 years.
So
Makes sense.
who do you think is going to be the Democratic candidate for president in the next election in 2028?
Me.
And
I
Other
think
than that, I have no idea.
I nominate Bob Krieg.
No,
oh,
he does.
well, he'll start raising campaign funds now for himself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's very difficult to say who will be, but hey, you never know. Because they got to resolve a lot of issues before they can jump into the arena.
They talk about getting 5 more, Texas getting 5 more districts, and they've passed the law. That means that the Democrats have 5 less. So instead of a majority of, n plus y, now it's a n plus y plus 10, because the Democrats got 5 less and they get 5 more. It's not just 5, it's 10.
It's 5 for Texas and 5 for California.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but it's 10 in Texas and 10 in California, because the five that Texas added subtracted 5 from the Democrats, and in California they did the same thing because Texas did it, and other states will do it also.
Does that mean Texas move made by Texas is nullified by California?
So far, but other states are doing it also.
I don't know how this is all going to come down to. I don't know.
Yeah, it just shouldn't have been done in the first place. They should obey the law that says don't do it until the next census, which is 10 years from the previous one.
I suspect that Texas doing it was not the first state that has done something like that, but I don't know.
I think it's extremely unusual that a state has changed it in midstream. Certainly none of the very low population Republican states did it. If they did it from 2-1 to 3-0, that wouldn't have made much of a difference. But 5 makes a difference when they're. If you take 5 away from, if they had done it the other way, make Texas have 5 less Republicans and 5 more Democrats, that would change the Speaker of the House. So.
Quite. Do you have any other bullet point or no?
Totally different subject. I'm curious. My wife and I have a neighbor of ours who husband had to go into the hospital at UMass Worcester.
Oh.
And he was brought there by ambulance, and she went to go see him, and she said she couldn't find any signs that said anything about the location of the hospital. Do you know if I'm not sure if that's true or not. I'm sure she couldn't see the signs. I'm not sure that means the signs weren't there. So I didn't know if you had any experience, Roman, on noticing if there are a number of hospital signs anywhere in the area of UMass.
Yes, I mean, was she in UMass? Was the person in UMass Memorial or UMass?
Well, it was down Plantation Street.
Yeah, there are signs all over the place there.
I would think so.
Yeah.
They didn't. When she said that, because she was very disgusted about not seeing any signage, I didn't want to say that. Geez, I'm sure there were signs, but because seemed so convinced that there weren't.
Because there are signs all over the place there, because otherwise the ambulances can't go.
Yeah,
Will not be able to know which way to go.
yeah.
And people would not know which way. Then there are signs all over the place, actually.
Have they done a lot of expansion down there recently?
They have added buildings in the area, but the area is still the same. So that there is the Ramalad building where the emergency vehicles go in, and so that's where the ER piece is, and so that's how. And the hospital, main hospital entrance is also that side. So I kind of don't understand that.
I recently came up from Shrewsbury within the
Okay.
last couple of weeks up Route 9, and I saw off to my right, which was like they were building some new buildings
Yeah.
right along there.
Yeah, I mean they have added buildings. There's a new building added, which is supposed to be dedicated for part of it is dedicated for veterans as veteran service.
Okay. Well,
That's a new building they added for veteran service.
Oh, good.
Actually, I was going to ask an entirely different question: Is are we still going to get Iceland next
Greenland.
to Greenland or Iceland? Greenland.
Greenland.
Greenland annexed to the United States or not? What do you think of that?
Actually, to get back to Iceland, I would be very much in favor of having Iceland and have their president be our president. She is absolutely gorgeous. She's drop dead beautiful.
You have a bias.
She's drop dead beautiful.
Oh, you have a bias. No, I was actually looking for Greenland because they have a lot of mineral resources and a lot of supposed to be gas reservoirs there. So I was wondering, is there any news about any movement happening to annex the area to United States?
I thought there was some, I can't remember now, but I thought a while ago they were having some type of election in Greenland about whether or not they were going to stay connected with was it Denmark or not?
Denmark, yeah.
Probably
And
Denmark,
I don't remember hearing what the results were, or I haven't heard anything at all recently about any real discussions about it any further. Have you heard something, Paul? Or
Nothing. Nothing. I just can't imagine Denmark giving up either Iceland or Greenland. I think they're both Denmark, aren't they?
Yeah.
I thought Iceland was a separate country, but I don't know.
Let me think. Actually, maybe Iceland is separate, but what I was thinking that it would be a strategic move, in fact, to have this outpost closer to Europe, and that way maybe it will be better for European security, and also have more input from the other side of the world, getting into United States, so far as the security information comes in.
Now, I haven't looked at a map for sure, but does part of Russia border the northern Greenland, or if it doesn't touch it, they're awful close?
Yeah, they're awful close, but we have Russia close to Alaska anyway, and how good is that? I don't know, but the major thing about Alaska is it is so far away from the major population centers of Russia. And the Greenland area is closer because most of the population in Russia lives on the European side rather than Asian side.
But aren't there countries in between?
There are countries in between.
Does Russia go over the North Pole to get to Greenland?
I don't know that actually, but it is. They are close actually. They are some parts are in the Arctic Circle. So you do have that. I mean, Russia is a big country. Land mass is big.
Oh, yeah. Um, but it would seem that the what are they, the countries, Norway, Sweden, and Finland, are closer to Greenland than Russia.
Yes, they are closer to Greenland, but strategically, if United States takes it over, it will be an overall beneficial in the sense of having somebody powerful enough to keep an eye on the rest of the world that side. That's what I'm saying.
We can do that.
Because
We can do that
because
without taking it over. We can just give them the equipment.
well, giving them equipment is one thing, but you are giving equipment to Ukraine, but it's still uh, it is still a third party doing that. Whereas when you are there, you can keep an eye on what is happening because there are a lot of resources even in Antarctic that can be accessed by being in Greenland rather than from here.
Well, we don't do it from here. We do it from space.
Yes, but you can also become a constant irritant to the. Once you are in Greenland, you can become a constant irritant to Russian hegemony. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I don't think we want to be a constant irritant. You know, that's getting closer to a confrontation, and that's the last thing we want.
But if you look at it strategically, maybe that's what can keep Russia at a certain level aware that we cannot do certain things which they are doing right now. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. It's just like a armchair diplomacy.
Yeah, I suppose.
I assume that Denmark is part of the NATO.
Yeah.
I don't. I assume they are.
I don't know. Are they because there are parts of Europe are European Union and parts of them are NATO. So it's kind of confusing.
Well, I think that you can be part of both.
Yeah, you can be part of both as well. Yes.
Occasionally, it surprises me that Switzerland is able to maintain their independence.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
They are neutral all the time. They get the benefit on all sides, but they're also small, mountainous tourist areas, and small country. But they have the biggest powerful banks set up so that you can deposit all the money you like and keep it anonymously. That is their biggest industry as far as I know. I don't know how they did that. Swiss banks
I don't know either.
and chocolate.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to go to Italy, and I went via Swiss Air, and then this small plane, twin-engine prop plane, flew between the mountains, so you could look straight out and see the sheep grazing on the hill, you know, and the goats and people. It was It was the most beautiful plane ride I've ever been on. Yeah.
Oh.
Was there many of you on the plane? Was it a small plane?
Yeah, it was a twin engine prop plane.
Yeah.
It was not a jet. And it just flew between the mountains.
And you can watch the goats and the cows.
Yeah, yeah, it was amazing. They were at the same level we were. You know, the mountains were wide, and we flew between them, and there's not, you know, it's not like we were in any danger of hitting a mountain, but it was just amazing. And then on the way home, they gave they handed out chocolates, and
I see.
and I was commenting to the guy beside me. I said, "Oh, Swiss chocolate is just unbelievable." And when I got up to leave, he came up to me and he said, "I work for Swiss Air. Take this. These are the chocolates that were left over." And
Oh.
there was about 15 or 20 of them. I thought I was going to die, you know.
But do they really make the Swiss chocolates in Switzerland?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Because I have bought Swiss chocolates from the airports in Europe, and I always wondered, are they really Swiss? But they taste good.
Oh yeah. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, something good about Switzerland.
Mm.
But it is interesting actually. I forgot actually the Swiss governance has is that the country where they have two princes? One is French and one is somebody else, or am I mistaken? Something that the ultimate the prince does not has not come to the country for a long time, but they have the governance from three different regions within Switzerland.
Mm. Yeah. They're the peacekeepers.
Yeah.
They can't keep the peace, but they negotiate. They bring them people to Switzerland to negotiate. But
Interesting place. So that way they can actually bring together warring people, and maybe they should actively get involved with Putin and Zelensky and get them together. I don't know. Maybe they are doing it already.
there's, I don't think there's a solution to Russia-Ukraine, because Ukraine used to be part of the Soviet Union,
Yes.
and even before the Russian Revolution, the king of wherever he was, the king
Tsar.
of Russia, before they were all murdered, they lived in Kiev.
Yeah.
Kiev.
Q.
Yeah, it's called Kiev now. I've always heard it as Kiev, but but who was it?
So-
The girl that was supposed to be the one survivor, Anastasia, maybe.
Anastasia. Yeah.
And
But you mean they had their one of their castles in Kiev?
oh yes,
I didn't know that.
yeah,
I didn't know that.
it was more beautiful than the one in Moscow. So and they would go from Moscow to Kiev. So that's probably one of the ideas that Putin has, is that Ukraine is part of Russia, at least it used to be.
So no wonder he insists that it is part of Russia, because he wants to maybe recreate that under his leadership.
And
I think there are people who believe he wants to create the old Soviet Union.
Yeah, that I've heard that as well.
Yeah.
And that is the danger, that if he succeeds with Ukraine, he may keep on going.
well, he's already tried in some of the other countries, the Eastern countries, you know, Kazakhstan and whatever.
He has some kind of arrangement with Belarus, other such countries, so that I don't know whether he's going to take it over, Georgia for that matter. But he's keeping them in such a way that they don't forget that he's Putin.
Yeah, right.
But the only person who is giving trouble is Zelensky. So maybe that's why he invaded Ukraine because he wanted him also to be similar to what the other countries, presidents or whatever they are, behave with respect to Russian authority.
And